To the finish line. Who is it going to be? And it's Sean Perez who wins in Cresson.
Ty Fisher wins $1,000 in KA100 Junior.
How about John Bird for TV Kart USA on home soil? They take the win in Amarillo.
Amarillo Kart Complex is now the official distributor for TV Kart in the continental U.S. Become a dealer today.
Champions aren't just born on the kart track. At SimShop, we deliver professional-grade simulators with the best performance-to-price ratio in the industry. Founded by racers who understand what you need, our SimMagic and Moto equipment is powerful enough for the pros, yet affordable for everyone. With unmatched customer support and a thriving community, we're your racing partner. Visit simshop.com today.
Let's go race.
Come on, man.
Florida Kart Racers, you asked for it and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like 20 bucks a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like 50 bucks a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all of the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Paulie Massimino wins in KA. Paulie Massimino is a winner in OKN Stars.
Take your driving to the next level with one-on-one coaching from 2024 OKN Stars champion Paulie Massimino. Kart rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome, from Briggs 206 to Mini to KA100 and X30. With in-depth data analysis, onboard video footage review, and lead follow on-track sessions, each private coaching session will see you end as a more complete driver than when you started. Book your coaching session now.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200?
I'm tired of all this Brandon business, okay? Brandon this, Brandon that. Why are there all these expenses on AKR over $200? We know, okay? Take a walk with me. At Shop AKR, they have everything you need to start racing at a very cheap and affordable price. They have MXC rims, they got chains, electrical stands, tilt seats, they got MXCs. And if you didn't know, on top of that, any purchase in the continental US over $200, that's free shipping. Hey, aren't you supposed to be in the AKR Anonymous meeting over there? Dude, I'm doing a commercial. Dude, we have no time. It's about to start. Stop. We all love Shop AKR. Me? More than others. What do I get at Shop AKR?
MXC rims.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson through on Turney, Turney in the dirt.
Florida kart racers, you asked for it and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200?
Stop. I'm tired of all this branding business, okay? Branding this, branding that. Why are there all these expenses on AKR over $200? We know, okay? Take a walk with me. At Shop AKR, they have everything you need to start racing at a very cheap and affordable price. They have MXC rims, they got chains, electrical stands, tilt seats, they got MXCs. And if you didn't know, on top of that, any purchase in the continental US over $200, that's free shipping.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be in the AKR Anonymous meeting over there?
Dude, I'm doing a commercial.
Dude, we have no time. It's about to start.
Stop. We all love Shop AKR. Me? More than others. What do I get at Shop AKR?
MXC rims.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson through on Turney. Turney in the dirt.
Florida kart racers, you asked for it, and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200?
I'm tired of all this branding business.
those of you here in the paddock, for those of you at home, please rise and remove your caps for the playing of our national anthem. For those of you who are watching on at home all morning long, welcome back to the third round of Texas Sprint Racing Series. We're live from Moto here in Cresson, Texas. Just an hour down south from one of the biggest metroplexes in the entire state of Texas, out of Texas. As always, my name is Caleb. Yes, I'm going to be here in the booth this weekend. I should see them at Gene. Hey, Gene, welcome here to Texas. Welcome to the GSRS Racing. It's a pleasure to have you go outside. Yeah, it's the first GSRS event for me, so looking forward to this one. We've had some exciting races this year so far that unfortunately I had to watch on from home before, but now finally here and person looking forward to what's going to be a big race. And a huge paddock, right? As always we say, the biggest regional racing series in the entire United States. With 183 entries here this weekend. I believe we're at 182 or some people dropping off late earlier on in the week, right? But it's always a pleasure to be here. Let's talk a little about the racetrack. Right? This track is one of the biggest ones that we've seen, one of the longest, one of the fastest ones. 10 corners here this weekend. They very fast, very draft dependent. We've talked to a lot of drivers here. Let's take us through a lap, right? There's 1A. It's a very fast left-handed corner for the bigger classes like the KA, like the KA Juniors. A slight lift on the throttle. No brakes through turn number 1. You go to turn number 2, still flat out. 3, 4, very fast, very flowy racetrack as well. We talked about the momentum aspect to it. That's going to be huge. Then you get to turn number 5, still flat out 6 into the chicane, and then the bull. For a lot of drivers, a big lift on the throttle. Get yourself into turn number 8 and 9, the first real and one of the biggest braking zones. Naturally, one of the fastest zones that we'll see as well here this weekend. And at turn number 9, you want to be careful not to take too much curve there on the inside. You watch out wide on the exit of turn number 9. Turn number 10, again, little tap on the brakes into the left-hander. That leads you all the way up the straightaway. We talked about momentum. We talked about draft, how important it is going to be here this weekend, Nate. What have you also kind of heard from a lot of the others? How this plays out, especially in the track, when you want to stay online. Otherwise, if you do lose a position in a pack, you're not going to be losing a position. You're probably actually for the pack races we're expecting, especially in the race to 6 packages. But Microsoft starts to roll for qualifying. It's just going to make it all the more important to try and find your way further up the grid in this qualifying session. Give yourself as much clean air as possible going into the first heat later on today. Yeah, well, here we go. We're right in the qualifying. As you guys saw the warm-ups earlier on today, myself and Nate, we're down there talking about the drivers getting to the show. It was honestly really refreshing to do that, to go out there and talk to a lot of the drivers, see what they're thinking, how they're doing, how their weekend's gone up to this point, especially with practices all day yesterday. Yeah, absolutely. Candidates warmed up for this qualifying session. It will be interesting to see, especially in this class here, Caleb, switching the subjects just a little bit. In the practice session to start off today, Brody Stoffel, 1.2 seconds clear of the field. He's championship leader for the Micro Swift division here, so we'll see if he can hold that pace. It's definitely a huge gap with himself and Wyatt White in the second spot in the morning warm-up. We should see that close up, especially during the racing, but a big challenge for these Micro Swift exactly how many we have here joining us this weekend in the Microsoft division. 14 drivers total, youngest being Wiley Lee, Dusty Strayer, 2 drivers that moved up to the Kid Kart division last year. Dusty was in 202, Wiley was in 201 for the Cody Byer. As well as Jeff Sullivan, Sebastian Hill, Wyatt White, Blackwood, we talked about Stoffel, Christopher Arms, Aiden in the 246, Alexander Kelly, Sebastian Anderson, Aiden Jameson, and Cohen Scott. The 14 drivers this weekend.
You're going to see a lot of these guys towards the pointy end of the field when you go to national races, the SCUSAs, the Speed Champions, Star Championship Series. But very healthy field in this micro split division. That 14 drivers should be competitive. Stoffel not having the jump that he had in morning warm-up. He's still 3/10 in front of Strayer as things stand. Tyler Blackwood in that 3rd spot, also 3/10 back. Top 3 is fairly close for the time being. Obviously, with the draft track, that 3/10 advantage is pretty much going to disappear for Brody Stoffel once they start to get into their battle packs. But at the moment, it's CRG leading the way.
So good luck so far for Stoffel. We'll go on strong. Just making a pass now on Wyatt White as well. The qualifying session, you usually don't want to find yourself having to make too many passes, but this is, I think, one of the places where if you do make one, like in the turn number 10 or like in turn number 9, I really don't think you're going to be losing all too much time. And even then, right, you're going to put yourself with another spot to try and close down your gap. Last time around, Stoffel improved to 54.262, it looks like, to Blackwood's half a second off. And here's where Stoffel's going to get in a little bit of traffic with Byer, as well with Tyler Blackwood in the betting.
Yeah, it just seems like they're jostling a bit for position and trying to figure out where they want to be in this qualifying train. Stoffel looking for a move into one of the only braking zones, like we were saying, Caleb, turn 9. Very easy to get that one wrong, but that will be a bit of clear air for Brody Stoffel to try and put down another fast time if they do get another lap. Heading forward to time you're scoring the beacon yet again. We'll see if anyone can improve times. They were jostling a lot for position. It's still Brody Stoffel at the top of the leaderboard, this time by half a second over Blackwood. His Strayer goes second, but it's still a half a second gap.
That's a huge run for Dusty Strayer. He was here last year, and again, a rookie. Moved up. I'm not sure if it was late last year or to start the year here at TSR. I think it was end of last year. We saw him move up to the cadet ranks whenever we got to Amarillo, I believe, and then here this year he's been full season learning, and this is finally the weekend. Put himself up to second so far in qualifying. Really starting to break out. Really starting to come in his own on his parallel machine. We'll see what else he can pull out of the bag here as we get closer and closer to the last couple of seconds of qualifying. Checkered flag going to be out this time by Tyler Blackwood, going to be the first to get it. Didn't know any better than Brody Stoffel with the checker this time across the line. Stoffel holds on over Brody Byer. Wyatt White is third. Dusty Strayer falls out to 4. So a couple improvements. The front promotion machine, the 224 of White, improves up to 3rd. Blackwood down to 5th to Shep Sullivan. Hayden Sampson, Anderson, Kim Lee, to Kelly, to the 246 there of, I believe, Aiden in 12th. Scott and Arms, your 14 drivers. I believe Arms not joining us here. There you go. Your unofficial results here in qualifying. Your top 10. I get set to take the green flag in Micro Swift later on today. Quick commercial break from our side. We'll be right back with more qualifying action. All the way up to the finish line. Who is it going to be? It's Sean Perez who wins in Cresson.
Ty Fisher wins $1,000 at KA100 Junior.
How about John Kart for TV Kart USA on home soil? They take the win in Amarillo.
Amarillo Kart Complex is now the official distributor for TV Kart in the continental U.S. Become a dealer today.
Champions aren't just born on the kart track. At SimShop, we deliver professional-grade simulators with the best performance-to-price ratio in the industry. Founded by racers who understand what you need, our SimMagic and Moto equipment is powerful enough for the pros, yet affordable for everyone. With unmatched customer support and a thriving community, we're your racing partner. Visit simshop.com pfit.com today.
Let's go race.
Come on, man.
Florida kart racers, you asked for it, and we're going to...
Going here with Mini Swift action now presented by the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. We have 15 drivers total here with us this weekend. We're going to run you down those drivers as well here in the Mini Swift class. 15 drivers total with the likes of Kimo Amagri joining us here. He's over in Egypt, I believe, with his family. Out there racing as well. I saw he was pretty busy, I think over in Abu Dhabi at the karting circuit out there, and now he's back in TSRS racing action here this weekend with the Iron Rock Motorsports team. 15 karts total. Go down Colton Schniegenberg at 117 as well here with us this weekend. Look back at Alex Chandler in the 196 is right by the teammate Kimo Lamont. And 15 drivers total. A lot of drivers from all over the state of Texas, a couple from down in Houston, a lot of them from Dallas. I think those are usually the drivers with more experience here at this place, which again, it isn't a hard track to learn. Nate kind of heard from a lot of them, right? It's very fast, very flowy, and also very easy to learn, I would say.
Yeah, talking to a couple of drivers, it's easy to get up to about 90-95% pace, but to find that last couple attempts around what is kind of a super speedway of karting is really difficult, and that's where it's going to pay the big bucks to get yourself further up on the grid. On the time and scoring byline, you see Tanner Barsh leading the way by just over 0.2 of a second to the challenging pack. Tanner, second fastest in warm-up to Colton Schniegenberg, and also P2 in the standings. So hoping to get one higher this weekend, of course, but it's early days here on Saturday. A lot of qualifying session left to go, a lot of racing left to go as well before we hit the track for main events come tomorrow afternoon. More drivers crossing the line to improve on their lap time. No one touching that top three except for Colton Schniegenberg putting himself into P2. Just under 4/10 back, so he's got a lot of time to find if he wants to catch up to the CRG of Tanner Barsh to reclaim pole position there, Caleb. But so far, it's a pretty commanding lap from Barsh.
Yeah, pretty good, especially for the hometown kid, right? Spoke to his dad last year when early came here, saying that this is really their home track, right? You have a lot of tracks nearby, like UKC, like North Texas Carters down in Denton. But again, right, for a lot of them who are kind of in that halfway point, only 30 minutes away from here, this is the closest track that they have to home, and one of the tracks where they're really, comfortable at, race at, and you want to put some laps in. You come here to Kart Moto, do some practice. I know his younger brother Brennan as well here this weekend, racing in the cadet side of things. Been super busy on the baseball side. We haven't seen him race on too much, but he's back in the school this weekend. Let's put have him back. Racing with his little brother, Tanner, here this weekend. But again, we're getting close to the end of this session. Barsh on the CRG machine for MSL Racing. still on top by about a tenth over Aston White, and the 121 checkered flag going to be out this time by for everybody. First to get it, going to be Kimo Amon and Alex Chandler.
And we'll have to see if the rest of the field will be able to challenge that time from Tanner Barsh by getting close, about a tenth and a half back on his Allen Racing Academy machine. His checker flag will be out for Kimo Ahmad and company. Ahmad currently finds himself fourth. Does he improve? Doesn't look like it. So Triple One machine will have to stay on that second row. Barsh does improve 2.5 cents now to the rest of the field as they come across the line to try and beat that. Schniekenberg still holding third. Doesn't look like it'll be an improvement there. So give it the way of MSL, CRG, and Tanner Barsh in Mini Swift qualifying will be leading that field to the green.
Going to be leading the field away, and he had a huge toe on that main straightaway. To Colton Schniekenberg on the MSL Racing Nitro card as well. The 117 puts himself in third. Been real busy over across the pond in Europe. We're doing this here this weekend. Set to do the full season here with us in the state of Texas. You go down to Jaden Joe Levette, and 15, Jack Cowell, Naeli Vargas, Cruz Rodriguez, Silas Root. Last 5 drivers in the order. Again, running you down that championship, it is led by Colton Schniekenberg, who comes in on the weekend leading the points. Over Barsh, over Chandler, Simon Jack Klein, not with us here this week. He's actually over at Route 66. Racing over there with the other half of our crew out there as well, streaming some regional racing action, an all KC grassroots weekend. Aston White's currently 5th in the championship points. Tyler Moravietz, 6th. Theo Mitchell, Willender, Marshall Steves, and Naeli Vargas are top 10 in the championship coming with this weekend. For the Mason Fast, your shifters presented by Arcade coming up next.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. Long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
It's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Paulie Massimino wins in KA. Paulie Massimino is a winner in OKN Stars.
Take your driving to the next level with one-on-one coaching from 2024 OKN Stars champion Paulie Massimino. Kart rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome, from Briggs 206 to Mini to KA100 and X30. With in-depth data analysis, onboard video footage review, and lead follow on-track sessions, each private coaching session will see you end as a more complete driver than when you started. Book your coaching session now.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Shifter up by Arcade Motorsports. First couple laps already underway. It's the 7 of Aiden Rudolph over John Paul Motori, rookie standout from Amarillo. Got himself on the podium. Number 6, he's had a pretty good year thus far for Santana Racing. Noah's Arts finds himself in third. Jordan Buster, again, one of the drivers that we talked about a whole lot. We talked about Shifter and how he dives deep into everything there is to know about a racetrack, about a kart, about tires. He finds himself currently in the 4th spot. Derek Proctor. 14, 9, and 6. And the number 7 of Qualy down in 7th.
Rudolph, the CRG man. Currently fastest is went purple in warm up as well, catching up to the back end of Cameron Qualy. Will make that pass nice and quick, just under 0.6 of a second between himself and P2. Said he was starting to feel it yesterday, Caleb, as the heat came down on the track for the Friday practice. Said during the middays when he really started to feel the wear and tear of running both the K100 class and the shifter here, so it's going to be a difficult one for him, but he's used to these conditions, used to racing in Texas and to some difficult circuits, so it shouldn't be too difficult for him.
He's got a lot of time to rest as well, right? Oh, yeah. Long straightaways, so it won't be as physical as put it, I guess a DKC. That's a much smaller racetrack, which I think we're running the bigger layout this year. And whenever we do get down to Caddo Mills, but even then, right, he has a little bit of time to rest. But again, it is very hot here this weekend. Luckily for us in the morning, we're kind of on a hillside, so the wind is blowing through, so it makes it a little more, I guess, enjoyable being at the track. If you look back at the last weekend, we was over at MCC for the CKM Summer. It was very hot there, very dry. No wind there throughout the weekend, so it was a tough one for us to turn. I can't imagine driving it. But look, again, Double B is going to be tough wherever you go, especially banging gears and running the K8 class.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be one of the things we talk about a lot, both on the grassroots and national scene for the next couple of months here for the KC Summer Tour, of having some heat waves throughout the nation. It's going to make it a bit difficult for those drivers, especially like we were talking about in Rudolph running 2 classes. Looking back behind him, I believe Checker Flag is out this time, so he might just be pulling in. He knows he has a good lap down on now Jordan Musser, putting himself into 2nd, as Rudolph's going to do a couple of practice starts. So will the rest of the field. Aiden Rudolph will be leading them to the green alongside Jordan Musser. The front row shifter presented by Arcane.
That's a good lap out of Musser. Still half a second lap. So Rory puts himself in 3rd to Zars, to Bobby Klein, Cameron Qualy. Your 7 drivers as they stand, and that's your shifter class here. I'd really love to hear from some of them as well later on in the weekend, right? How this racetrack is going. You heard from a lot of the single speed drivers of how easy it was to kind of go through some of these corners. I mean, you're changing gears right in this. Top speed's definitely up to 95, I would assume, 95 miles an hour on that front straight, Nate.
Yeah, I would say so. Probably something close to there. Obviously, those shifters get going, and fairly long straight here for here in Cresson, Texas. Obviously, it's not the longest of tracks, but like we've been saying, just with how fast and flowing this is, and not a lot of braking zones for most classes, it's going to be difficult for those shifter drivers. On to the youngest category, we have Kid Kart taking the track now. Vettel Baker was fastest in warm-up by almost a second there, Caleb, over Maverick Reddick. So you can see a whole contingent of CRG karts as usual taking to the track here in Kid Kart.
Yeah, here we go. First couple of laps getting set to go underway. And again, just a look back at that shifter championship led by Rudolph to Motori and Proctor. That's your top 3 there. Musgrave, again, did run, not joining us here for the 3rd round. Take a look at the Kid Kart Championship as well, heading into the weekend here in 2023. 75. It's presented by GR2 Motorsports. Actually led by Wyland Galliano, 24. They're on the OTK, the green go-kart you see just right behind it. Looks like Vettel Baker. Maverick Reddick in second, to Liam Lawson, to Deshawn, to Booker Anderson, and to Vettel Baker. Top 6 of this championship. 8 drivers total joining us here for the third round. A couple of drivers, big stories coming on the weekend. Maverick Reddick, the 75, got his first national win over at CKNA at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. Was able to get his first national win, his first regional win as well in Amarillo. And he's back here this weekend. A couple of other big wins on the year so far. Wyland Galliano won at Speed Sports. This kid here, the 24, put on a good performance at his home track. Now he's back traveling with us here at TSRS. This class is what pays the big bucks week in, week out here, Nate.
Yeah, absolutely. Wyland's been impressive as well from the few races I've been watching this year. Maybe doesn't have the outright pace as some of the other CRG drivers sometimes, just the consistency for them to be able to pay off and get themselves now into the championship lead. Obviously that won at Speed Sports for them earlier on in the year. P3 at Amarillo, looking to stay on the podium and get back on the top step like they started the year off with, but Maverick Reddick making that hard is a 1.4 second gap between himself and Booker Anderson, as Anderson actually retakes that from what I'm seeing on timing and what it says on screen. It still has Maverick Reddick leading the way, but still, strong start for the CRG camp.
Let's take a look at it here, the timing. We're getting that right. It's Vettel Baker at the moment at 1:12.702, best time here in the qualifying times. Booker Anderson finds himself in second, the 1:13.176. Not sure we saw Booker at the second round in Amarillo, if I remember correctly. I think he was there actually. I'm not mistaken. Maverick Reddick finds himself third, to Deshawn and to Liam Lofton. So we're still waiting for times to come in on our end. That's how they stand. Vettel Baker currently quickest, the 22 CRG machine. Fastest here this morning for MSL Racing with just a minute and a half to go left in qualifying.
And to go back on that, Booker Anderson was at Amarillo last race, finished off the podium, not the race they would have wanted. So looking to get back on the steps here this weekend. Still Vettel Baker on top, but only by a 10.5 over Booker Anderson, and then Maverick Reddick top 3 within half a second here in the Kid Kart division as the time starts to clock down. Probably about one more lap for these Kid Kart drivers. Fast time by Vettel Baker of 1:11 as he improves that by almost a second over Booker Anderson. So the 22 machine seems to be the one that will be front and challenging for wins. Going to be difficult for the rest of the field to bring themselves towards the back end of him.
We got 30 seconds left in this qualifying session here in Kid Kart. Follow along with the first one to take the checker flag, Maverick Reddick, the 75. Getting set to go around turn number 10. Just 18 seconds to go. I think they're going to make it in time for one more, at least for Baker and Reddick. Not sure if the rest of the field is going to get it. So here we go. They make it through. That time by. Baker improves his time at 1:11.927. Booker Anderson still in second with a 1:12.788. Mav Reddick at 1:13.065. And now the checker flag comes out. Where it looks to be JJ Deshawn, Ian Lofton, Galliano, Hollis, and Xander Lorang at the 11. So it should be Vettel Baker on the pole here today in this 206 Kid Kart class. everything racing live. But what do you thought about the state of Texas so far? Being here this weekend, joining us at Waterford yesterday. What did you think, man?
It's been fun so far. You know, haven't gotten to give it a true Texas experience. Just been from the airport to here, and not a lot in between so far. But the few times I have come down here for vacation or for a Formula One race at the end of the season at Circuit of the Americas, it's always been a good time down here in Texas. Wish I could get out here more, especially for these TSRS events. The racing is always fun to watch online. So a good experience so far, and looking forward to the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, I know in the past you've been over to Route, you've been here, now this weekend. You've been at any races. What do you thought so far of kind of TSR, seeing the environment here for the first time?
I mean, like I said, I've always watched these events online as much as I can, so it's a race series that I've wanted to come down to for a while and check out. Excited to be here. It seems like it should be a good track for racing, should have some close battles, so it's a good one to come down for.
Yeah, I think you did, right? Especially, I don't know if you watched a little bit of the racing last year. I actually saw you watching some, so I can't correct myself. But even then, right, from what you saw last year, what did you see? What kind of stood out to you the most?
I mean, obviously how strong this paddock and field is throughout all the classes. Probably, if not the strongest regional in the country right now. So that's a big kudos to the TSRS team and all the work that they've been doing behind the scenes to grow this series over the past couple of years. But at least the on-track product, the KA and 206 racing for the junior and senior divisions have always been fun to watch. A really healthy couple of fields for those divisions. So looking forward to those, and especially watching racing earlier on this year at a cold and wet speed sports, and then some night racing at Amarillo. 3 different track conditions we've had so far this season, now throwing in this very hot and dry climate we're at here in Cresson, Texas right now. So it's giving these drivers a ton of different challenges throughout the 2025 season.
Yeah, we'll see as well. It's always a pleasure to be here with you guys again. For those of you guys who are joining us here for the morning coverage, obviously morning warm-up and qualifying are going to be live and free for all you guys to view. If you want to watch main event racing action later on today, don't forget to subscribe and join. And become a Facebook member, only $9.99 a month. You can watch all the racing action live from coast to coast, and I could go on about Netflix, Captain Marketing, all this. You guys have all seen the commercial, but to keep it short and simple, it's just cheaper than everything else. So when we're gonna watch, we'd love to see you guys to watch your family members, kiddos, kids, parents, even racing here with us this weekend. But we get going now with the first of our 100cc categories. Cadet Junior out on the racetrack now, and returning to racing in his home state, Royce Vega, here on the Raw Surf Performance Group. Cosmic leading this field away from Hudson Berry, Tyler Kessler Jr., David Law. He was winner last year. Lost the line first as well over at Amarillo. He wasn't able to hold on to the win after, I think, post-race technical infraction, unfortunately. But he's here this weekend coming off really good pace at the end of Amarillo. We'll see how he stacks up here this weekend.
Pierre Barra is always a driver to look out for in K100 junior competition here at TSRS. Starting to work on his national performances weekend by weekend when he makes those appearances. So be looking out for him at SCUSA next weekend for the Pro Tour finale. But in the here and now, running P3 on track behind, like Caleb said, that Rolston Performance Group Cosmic Kart piloted by Royce Vega. First time across the timing and scoring loop to get an idea of where everyone is on the times. We'll wait for that to populate. At the moment, Igor Bezo going fastest overall, then it's Ibarra and Bailey, your top 3 as things stand. But Caleb, as the session continues to go on, people get into their rhythm. I'm assuming that it's going to get a lot closer at the front of the field.
No, it definitely will here, Nate. Especially with how close this field is going to be this weekend, and the racing is going to be, I think, even better, right? And even closer than we have seen so far this year. We saw a lot of breakaways in Amarillo. We saw some breakaways in the rain at Speed Sports Racing Park for the first round. You're not going to see any of that here this weekend. If a driver gets up and up ahead of the field early on, it's going to be real quick, that closing time to the front. And you'll see them shuffle a lot here in qualifying too, to try and decide who's faster, who's better, leading, passing, following, so on and so forth. So now Ibarra is going to put himself second, but not second on the timing pylon. That's Nathan Golseth, currently second on the 826 Trackside Karting Services OTK machine. Gage Bailey goes to the top of the 827, and you see Vega moving to the wayside, letting Tyrone Kemper Jr. go up to third. But they're going to continue to shuffle all qualifying session long here, Nate.
Yeah, Vega down in 4th on track on the timing pylon, 8th overall. About 4/10 back is losing another spot to, I believe, one of the High Five performance machines. Just doesn't seem like that Cosmic has gotten into a good operating window for Royce Vega. So him struggling a little bit in the early portions of this qualifying session. Cross the line yet again. We'll see how that stacks up. Nate Golseth going fastest on track at the moment by 1/10 of a second. That's the gaps we are expecting to see here, Caleb. Gage Bailey in second, and then Mason Berry has a little bit of time to make up, 3/10 back, but you can see just how close the rest of this field is. Top 7 within 4/10 of a second. A lot of those guys within this battle pack right here.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, right, the bump drafting effect that you get here is really efficient, but you have to time it really well as well. If you're kind of looking at your screen right now, I think the driver in the best position is the lime green TB kart, Luke Cruz, at the moment, who's in the best position where he's not getting tripped up by anybody in front of him, but he's slowly closing that gap, step by step. And here, this is perfect for Luke Cruz, who currently sits 5th on the timing sheets. Where does he stack up to at the end of that one? All the way, stays 6th, actually. And there you go, a little bit of a change. Orbezo up to the top. Golseth to Bailey, to Mason Berry, to Luke Cruz, who's 5th. So Orbezo holds on with a 50.338. And again, I think for Cruz, probably just caught up a little bit too soon when we got onto the front straightaway there, Nate.
Yeah, absolutely. But still good for him at the moment, being the fastest on track. Will be a final lap and checkered flag in the air. This time clock hits 5 minutes. That's qualifying session done. Flying laps will count. Out of the final corner, they will come. Be sure to not get too much curb on the inside. Easy to go a little bit wide off track there. There you can see checkered flag as Kemper Jr. going to the inside of Ibarra. Bailey will reset fast time, then Orbezo, then Golseth. Orbezo actually takes that back by 0.003 of a second there, Caleb. So put Nico Orbezo provisionally on pole in K100 Junior.
That's huge for the 808 Iron Rock machine. Looking for that breakthrough year in Junior this year. He's put himself at the front of the field many times before, but he's starting at the front. Throughout the heat races, he's on the provisional pole position here. Unofficial results here in qualifying. Gage Bailey, to Nate Golseth, to Kemper Jr., to David Ibarra. Your top 5 here at K100. Here we go, 206 Senior Qualifying. On the track now, presented by Slipstream Racing. He was led away by Carter Kilburn, Bryce Frank. Kelvin's in the 3AR Academy drivers finding themselves on the racetrack here, Nate, and push each other forward.
able to talk to Kelvin Zing, one of the drivers in this front three. You can see him just out of shot. Bryce Frank, one of his teammates there. He seemed quietly confident, did Kelvin Zing, going into today. Didn't boast too much about pace, but seemed like he was going to be towards the front of this field and ready for the challenge ahead. Obviously, with the 206 package here, you really have one braking zone down into the turn 9. Even that is just a small lift. Everywhere else is flat out, and it's going to be a draft fest here at Kart Moto for the 206 classes and this 206 senior class especially. There you see a couple of the GFCs on track. One of them, Reagan Seville, another driver we were able to talk to here, Caleb. He's always one to watch out for here in TSRS competition, so expecting him to be fighting for a win later on tomorrow.
Yeah, he had a great start to the year. When you look back to Speed Sports Racing Park, won that one in the rain in wet conditions. And round number 2, again, just bad luck, and asking him, thinking big picture, I think in championship after missing out on pretty much missing out on it, right? At the end of last year, looking to be become one of the first rookies to win it in senior racing action. He said it's just consistency, right? Throughout the heat races, throughout the main events as well. It's just thinking big picture, putting everything together is kind of the biggest thing, especially when you want to put together a championship results, right? Whenever you kind of look at it. And Frank, on the other hand, who did win the championship last year, did have that on his side. Consistent. Finished heat races, won some of them, and then you look at main events as well, right? Consistently kept himself within the top 3, top 5 as well. And unfortunately, Seville had a couple of wins. I think more wins than anybody else last year. Just couldn't capitalize on the heat racing side of things. But the speed is there, and teammate Jacob Oliver as well has had some pretty good results this year, right? Been breaking through more and more. You still look back to I think the end of last year at Speed Sports, really one of the rounds where he was really impressive at the end of the year when we ran that layout backwards. So it was huge for him. Great to see him out here this weekend as well with a lot of other drivers here joining us. This class, one of the biggest ones, 26 drivers total here with us, Nate.
Yeah, always a really strong field for the 206 senior category here at TSRS, one of the strongest in the nation, really, for 206 senior competition. There you see, dropping back a pack, Christopher Keithan leading that, the PPK Coyote, Cameron Reed on Reed Motorsports CRG as well. These two will be two to look out for. They were fast in morning warm-up. Reed going purple, Christopher McKeithen in second, and then a 4/10 gap to P3. So actually see pole come from this group of 3 as they'll be rounding the final corner. We'll check time and scoring to see what they have here, Caleb, if they can move their way further up the Kilgo, resetting fast time at the moment. The 6:04 machine gets pipped by Jackson Young, 6:70 fast time, but there you can see Cameron Reed and Christopher McKeithen, 2nd and 3rd on the time charts there, Caleb.
Yeah, Cameron Reed and McKeithen, both of them really fast out in the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati about 2 weeks ago. Reed got herself on the podium, as well McKeithen got himself a win in, I believe, the light division. So again, the two of them have been fast on the national circuit. And interesting that you said, nationwide, it's one of the strongest 206 fields that we see. So, and you see here this weekend, right? Almost, the same top 10 that run here usually are running up in the top 10 over on the national side as well, just 2 weeks ago. Here we go, but this pack has been the fastest. This time by Oliver Seville, no better. McKeithen, we have some movement. It's McKeithen up to 2nd by 300ths of a second.
So it's go time and make sure every little apex track out point is perfect for these 206 senior drivers. Of course, with the track being pretty much flat out for them, you have to be just that extra bit on it So you can see McKeithen and Reed coming out of the final corner. Checkered flag in the air this time. Reagansville pulling to the inside. That lap wasn't it for him. Checking time and scoring. Can anyone pip Jackson Young and retake pole position? At the moment, it's a no. Christopher McKeithen and Cameron Reed not improving that time in second and third. So, provisionally, Jackson Young, P1. Cameron Reed actually jumping into second place there. Still, there, Caleb. Jackson Young, pole position into a 16 here.
Yeah, that's huge for Jackson. I think that's the best result he's had in qualifying in his senior career. The 670 starts on the pole for the first time. Cameron Reed will start alongside him. Jeff Dolan to Christopher McKeithen. Jacob Oliver and Reagan Seville to Zing to Kilgo to Frank, which really had a Arrow, Hugo McLeod, Long, Doros, Natty Bamroo, your top 15 here when we get Navy racing action.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
racing out onto the racetrack now. Again, this class actually pretty big in size here this weekend. Nate, with I believe 22 drivers total joining us here this weekend.
Yeah, 22 drivers, really strong. Like we've been saying throughout the show, just a really impressive showing from this southern group of a very Texas-based group of show up week in and week out for TSRS and have some high entries. But on track now, the week flag our 206 cadets, 5 minutes of qualifying. One driver already off in the wayside there, out of turn 9. So they'll be making their way onto the front straight for their first timed lap. Everyone will be jostling for position, trying to find their draft clean air, but it's going to be very difficult track where there's really one braking zone for these 206 cadets.
Yeah, I mean, this is flat out entirely right. That turn number 1 section is you're on the gas all the way through, and then down this hill as well. Just holding on to it, right, making sure you don't fall out of the thing. So here we go, Mikey Todd, the driver for Reed Motorsports, currently leading them out there on the racetrack. I believe one more driver just up the road. Looks like either one of the CRG machines, I think, for MSL is probably, I think, Benjamin Osborne, the driver that's just ahead of him. But here we go. First couple laps, we'll get a name on all of them as they go through. Aston Wyatt, currently the driver actually out in front, leading them all away. But here we go. First couple laps in the books. White sits in second, and there's a crash further back there, Nate. 2 drivers go around. Unfortunate to start this one off. That's a 211 actually of Silas Root. The 15 had to spin it back around, and I think one driver's going to be out of this one early.
Yeah, at least Root will be getting back on track. The comp cart will be stuck there.
Yeah,
and
Silas is stuck.
Yeah, so that's qualifying over for him. He's going to try all he wants, but that's game over. Going back to this front pack of drivers who still on track with about half their qualifying session to go. If we go back to warm-up, it was Clayton Stiles who went fastest by a little over a 1/10.5 over the rest of the field. Stiles, at the moment, in 4th, has to find about 3.5 tenths to get provisional pole, but you can see there Aston Wyatt leading them on track, not on the timesheets. The CRGs getting into each other there, Caleb. That's not at all what you want to be doing in a qualifying session. That's really going to hamper them. They're not going to be able to get a significant lap time down this time since they did it out of the final corner, so that's going to put even more pressure on them to deliver on that final lap.
It looks like we're racing here in qualifying for our 206 cadets, and it's really just about putting a lap in at this point, right? I mean, not much else to it, but it's still Aston Wyatt who's kind of up there on his own up front. Nayeli Vargas finds herself in this group here. 2 of the factory carts look to be together here. I think right behind them, it's another one. It looks like Moraviet's actually that driver. Maybe get a good eye on it here when they round the corner instead of guessing here, Nate. We'll stick with that side-by-side action here. Dusty Strayer with another driver there. And here we go. Next couple of laps, we're just over the 3-minute mark. So again, we're getting closer and closer to the end here. Aston Wyatt going to be the first across the line as they're racing further back, 2x2, side by side. And we have some improvements. Dusty Strayer, the 222, gets himself up to 2nd. Lasek to 3rd. Clayton Stiles, a 237. We have some change. That actually moves Lasek now up to the top. Mace going to put himself up front. Drew Blem, the 215, in 2nd. And that's all draft, right? Drew Blem has gotten himself up there. Clayton Stiles, Strayer, Sampson actually. Podoraki, Vargas, Aston Wyatt fell down all the way to 8th. And again, just given he has no draft, he's out there up front by himself. Going to be hard to find a pushing partner when everybody else behind you is racing.
Yeah, if you're one of the team members with Wyatt, you're probably going to be telling him to slow down and maybe get a little bit of a draft, because you can put a perfect lap in at the moment if you're Wyatt, and if you don't have anyone out there to push you or to lead you, it's just going to put him exactly where he is, almost 8 tenths back in P8. As everyone started to settle down, if you joined us a couple minutes ago, you're not mistaken. The graphic on the left isn't wrong. This is qualifying. This isn't heat number 1 with all the racing they've been doing. We can save that for after the lunch break here, boys and girls, but Checker flag is out, 5-minute mark is hit, so we're going to see if any of these drivers can improve. Most likely they will. A couple of moves potentially being made, one by the factory kart running P2 there, as they're still jostling for position. They've started to figure it out at this point, heading into what is the final sector of the track, and a critical turn 9 for these drivers that we saw a lot of them getting wrong in the early parts of the session, dropping the left side tire. All of them keeping it nice and clean through here. So final corner here, Caleb, is going to be crucial to try and take the pole away.
Here we go, last couple laps. Looks like Aston Wyatt wasn't able to improve, but here we go. Last couple, Mace Lasek, nothing. I don't think anybody found anything here the last time around. So that should look good for Mace Lasek. The 201 to take pole position here over Drew Blem and Clayton Stiles. Aston Wyatt solves top 5 starting position for later on today. Dusty Strayer, Tamila Podaraki, Yomi Vargas, and down to a couple of more. Stoffel put himself 13th. Down to Cohen Scott in 21st. Only 21 drivers total joining us here in that class. And again, we saw a lot of racing there, Nate. So again, just I guess a little bit of a preview to what we'll see later on today, or in a couple of moments actually, before heat race number 1. That being said, KA100 Master coming up next.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR, with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Alrighty, welcome back here to qualifying action. It's time to go qualifying in the Masters division. And everybody off to a fast start here, Nate, just out of the pits, and we get going right away.
Yeah, not too much jostling for position like we've seen in the opening couple of classes, especially like we saw in 206 Cadet, last class on track. But again, Been saying it all weekend. Strong field of drivers for K100 Masters. 18 drivers signing up this weekend for High 5 KA100 Master. Again, everyone getting a feel for the track on this opening out lap. We'll be getting times in about a minute or so as the rest of the field complete their opening laps. Green flag in the air here. Caleb looking back to warm up. Pierce Baldus, fastest on track by less than half a tenth of a second over Miguel Mir, who also leads the way in the championship. Those two are right on each other in the championship standings. Miguel Mir having a lead by 110 points over Baldus, but it's been a really strong start for the season for Miguel Mir. P2 at Speed Sports, P1 at Amarillo, looking to add another win to the collection here this weekend.
Yeah, we were actually, funny enough, having a conversation last night, myself, Riley Can, who's, again, was a racer here, now working in production here. Funny enough, you know, a lot of big names, drivers, have always ended their championship runs with 7, right? Talk about Jimmy Johnson, right? Ended his NASCAR Cup Series career with 7 championships. Dale, obviously, with 7. I believe Richard Petty with 7 as well. Lewis Hamilton with 7. Michael Schumacher with 7. Lightning McQueen finished his career in the Piston Cup ranks with 7. Miguel Mir, funny enough, finished last year, I guess, ending his 7 streak championship here in Texas Regional Racing Division. Could he be the first to break through the 7-8? Is that what we're looking at? He comes into the weekend leading the championship points to 477. You know, it's weird to kind of think about to look that deep. I would say into championship points, but hey, he's better than Lightning McQueen, better than Dale. You know, a lot of names. So that'd be huge. First driver in my knowledge to break. Well, obviously Ryan Norberg as well if you want to talk karting. But that'd be great. Back into the serious business. Miguel Mir actually purple on the racetrack at 51.293, and that changes Pierce Baldus, the reigning champ, who ended that 7-year unbeaten streak in Masters action, puts himself to the top of 476 for High 5 performance. Out of Missouri, goes to the top with Howie 3rd, Glanger 4th, and Brent Harper, your top 5 so far.
Yeah, so far pretty close at the top of the field, top 4 within about half a second of each other as the session goes on. We should see these Masters lay down some more competitive times further on back, more jostling for position, though like we've seen, but like you said, Pierce Baldus leading the way by 2/10 over Miguel Mir. This is the start of the weekend that Baldus would need to be able to climb back into the championship hunt. Things stand though. Miguel Mir gaining a little bit of time, just a tenth off now, but the rest of the field not really being too close to this front two here, Caleb.
Yeah, we're following along with Randy Rogers, who's just in the middle there of this group. As well, up front, Brent Harper was making a pass. I don't think he was too happy with one of the drivers here either. And a Kozak, it looks like. No, it's another one of the High 5 performance machines that's just in tow. But here we go. Looks to be the lead group. Janae Den just a little bit ways up the road with Shane Burkett up there as well. Neil Faulkner just there. And David Pregande, the 488. Not too far back in this one either. So continue to take a look at it. Baldus second. Harper currently 3rd in the championship. 3rd on the racetrack, or was 3rd on the racetrack. He's down in 7th right now with some time to find. Goes up to 4th now for the 413. One driver off. That's Anna Kozak with issues into the grass for the over-under racing machine. That's going to be it for Anna, who was down in 15th here, the 434, ending her session early.
It's going to be difficult to recover from that one, especially in this K100 Master field. A lot of talent. Going to have to be working her way through the field all throughout today. Back up front, though, Pierce Baldus continuing to hold out strong over Miguel Mir. No driver dropping into the 50-second margin thus far. We are right on the cusp of the 51-second. Checkered flag in the air. No movement at the front of this field thus far. as it looks like Caleb Baldus will do exactly what he needs to do to get himself back into this championship hunt to the halfway point in 2025 TSRS campaign. Baldus provisionally on pole in KA 100 Master.
Yeah, he actually went better that last lap. A 50.972 for Pierce Baldus. 476 on pole position later on today when we get into heat racing action, throughout all the heat races, I should say, as well. With Miguel Mir, championship points leader, starting alongside him. Burkett to Harper to Howie to Mosey to Galanger to Din, Wright, and Randy Rogers, your top 10 here in High Five Performance K8 Masters. Last couple classes getting set to go underway. 206 Junior coming up next. And then KA 100 Senior. Gonna round up the free coverage as well. Don't forget, become a KC Premium member and watch all the karting action live from coast to coast. We're here in the state of Texas, and we're over all the way up in Illinois for Route 66 in their regional series. So whenever we hit the lunch break, whenever we hit a break, go and join our friends up there. I believe Jackson Lambros is up there with Birthday Boy as well on the weekend. Kyle Cuthbertson, they're bringing you guys all the coverage. They're on the call up there in the state of Illinois with myself, Nate Dean. Just depends what your taste is. If you like a little bit of fun, a little bit of flavor, watch down here some TSRS. If you want to hear them talk about matcha and coffee and frappuccinos, you can go over there to the state of Illinois and watch up there with Kyle and Jackson Lambros. But all jokes aside, huge shout out to those guys that are up there. I'm sure they're having a good time as well.
Yeah, the fun's down here at TSRS.
Yeah. That's funny enough, because I drank a matcha, an iced matcha this morning. You big grande latte
I was
guy,
drinking a latte, so it's big talk from us after what we drank this morning. But
hey, matcha, honestly, it helps the voice as well, coming off being sick. This week helps the vocal cords kind of just. It's kind of like WD-40 on a go-kart. Yeah, it's like WD-40 on the vocal cords. I would say. I like it. I mean, it's green, but
if you enjoy Matcha Talk, you can subscribe to KC Premium and get a ton more of that throughout the weekend here, race fans.
Hey, we got a head counter here. You like matcha? Riley, you like matcha? Riley's shaking his head yes, liking matcha. Myself, Trevor Blue, big matcha guy, spilled coffee in here this morning, unfortunate. But hey, it happens, right? Shout out Lids. Yeah, but that being said, hope you guys are enjoying Matcha Talk, right? Matcha Chaser.
Matcha Chaser, yeah.
We should actually start that series. That'd be great for social media. I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Matchas around the paddock. That'd be a great conversation.
Could be a piece of content. Get pro drivers to review matcha, get their takes on it. We did the pineapple on pizza. It's the Stars Championship.
How do you like your eggs cooked in the morning as well?
I don't do eggs. I'm kind of with Renadin on that. I'm not a big egg guy.
Wow. Well, it's helping. It's helping him because he's won two times in a row. So it's also helps for the muscle. Get the guns, get the apples going. Just joke around. Waking up in the morning, walking around.
This is great banter.
Bite this apple. Not joking around. If you hear me say that to Nate throughout the weekend, we're joking.
206 Junior, Caleb. TV Kart USA on track. A very competitive field throughout the season we've seen thus far. We have 13 karts in it this weekend, but don't let that fool you. A very high level of competition for these guys. Chambers on that Intrepid chassis will be leading them out as things stand. In warm-up earlier on today, Chambers finished in P2 in a very competitive session thus far. In the championship, they do lead by just a few points over the challenging pack. Chambers gained the win at the opening round of TSRS at Speed Sports, and then P2 last weekend. So hoping to get back on the top step like they did in Speed Sports. But green flag in the air this time for our TB Kart USA 206 Juniors to get their qualifying session underway, the penultimate qualifying session of this third round of the season here at Cresson, Texas. Here, Caleb, and it's been the theme so far this morning, jostling for position.
Yeah, here we go. I like that word, jostling. Kind of like jousting as well, if people aren't fencing here. But here we go. Chambers leading this field away to 345 up front. Brandon Green in the matcha green machine here this week in the 330, just right behind Eva Blem actually, and it looks like Rodrigo Poloya as well, who's in draft there, sitting third, and Francisco Reyes at 305 with us here this weekend. Anderson, Tamia Johnson coming off a huge podium for her as well in Amarillo. A huge result there for that CRG driver, who again joins us this weekend. First couple laps getting set to go underway here. That opening lap, again, a very long one until we get to the stripe when that session goes green, but here we go. First lap underway, time starting to come in. It's Chambers to the top, no draft, no problem. Puts himself up front to Poloya, who's second. Blem, Massad, and Green, your top 5 so far.
Yeah, really impressive from Chambers as times begin to shuffle even more as everyone comes across the timing and scoring line for their opening lap. Could be a bit of an issue for Chambers like we saw with Wyatt in 206 Cadet. Yeah, you have a lot of clear air, but no one's working with you. No one can push or pull you throughout a lap, so Chambers is going to have to be careful. Potentially might want to back off and get back into a battle pack. One of the CRGs dropping a tire there out of turn 9. Will get passed by another one of the red speeds. Not going to help their qualifying, but as times continues, Chambers goes to the top only for a few seconds there. Caleb Poloya back on top.
Yeah, it's still changing here. It was Emmett Eddles actually, the 303, who's up in front for 11 Motorsports here this weekend, actually based here out of Kart Moto. And it changes actually back to Eddles, who's further back in the field. 303, we'll take a look at him as well. Seems to be working with Dean Gear quite well here. Actually didn't make it out for that warm-up session. We were on grid and saw that the side of his engine where it holds onto the pull cord was loose. Didn't make it out onto the racetrack. So again, a huge result for him, especially considering yesterday. I should say the morning warm-up to turn around here. But here we go. Boy, yeah, this group has been fast as well. Eva Blem has been up there. But here we go when they cross the line. Chambers has been quick on his own. We'll see what it looks like. Does it change? Chambers now across the line, only up to third. Poloya back up. Not higher than Eva Blem, though, to the top of 57.55 for Blem. And we'll wait for the 303 of Eddles as well, who has been the driver that's been challenging them up for the pole position here.
And how about top 5 within a 1/10 of a second? I say that. Eddles back to the top and really puts a gap on the rest of the field between himself and Dean Guerrer. Those drivers gonna have to find something to be able to close in on those front 2. And talking about Chambers just a little bit before checkered flag hits, it seems like the pack behind him, Caleb, are really starting to close in. So now you're gonna help those guys and give them a draft, and obviously gonna push you further down the field than what you wanted. So if you're Chambers, you're probably looking at that pack closing in, probably want to back off sooner rather than later to try and get some sort of draft effect to help your qualifying.
Yeah, these two kids have been really fast, going back and forth, trading that fast time, only a 1,000th in between them. Emmett now rounding up the last corner. Here we go for Emmett and Dean Guerrier. Poloya seems like his group wasn't able to improve, but checkered flag going to be out for them. Eddles, can he go any better on this last time around? It was a 57.4. We'll wait for it to update. I don't think they improved there, Nate. Neither did anybody else, though. Poloya still further back. We'll see if they get another lap. That's going to be the interesting part here to see if we still have drivers that did make it across in time to get one more lap, and I think we are. Going to see that first group of Eva Blem, Poloya, Chambers, all across the line one final time. We'll wait for you here. As here's Chambers, here's Poloya, here's Eva Blem. This time by, checkered flag in the air. Can anybody improve? Chambers doesn't go better. Poloya to the top of 57.354 for Rodrigo Poloya. Steals it in the end. Eva Blem to 4th. And you see the shuffling there, the 360. Pick it up where he left off. In Amarillo on pole position here in qualifying, presented by TB Kart USA.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
All right, here we go in KA 100 Senior Qualifying presented by Kart CRG USA. Should be 2 groups here in this one. Santi Duran, Preston Pico, Ibrahim Din lead this first group away with Ethan Gonzalez for Red Speed. John Burke won in Amarillo on the racetrack after post-race penalties. Lost that win, unfortunately, but he finds himself 4th here on the racetrack. Jake French now making a couple of moves. Sawyer Roussel looking to go on rookie Ethan Gonzalez here as well.
Yeah, everyone trying to find where they want to get their laps down in KA Senior. Everyone opening the gaps up a bit more than what we've seen in the other classes this morning, as everyone just wants their piece of real estate to get their head down and get themselves as far up the field as possible. You can see there John Burke, like we were saying, the driver who won it on track at Amarillo, lost it after post-race penalties, after a lot of talk between the teams and the series that finally gave Aiden Rudolph the win, I believe, in that one. But making the move up the inside to get some more clear air for John Burke, as I believe there's only a couple more karts to go to get him to the front of this pack. It seems like he's going to be content to ride in second here, Caleb, to see where they finish on the second time of going in qualifying. Vasquez Jr. fastest on the opening lap, then Din, Burke, your top 3 as they'll cross the timing and scoring line yet again. We'll get a grasp as where they are on track. John Burke seems fast right now on that TD Kart USA, making another pass. He's 3rd on the time sheets at the moment, but just looking at that car compared to the rest of the field, that's going to be a contender for pole here.
Yeah, I mean, again, we walked the paddock yesterday. We walked it this morning. The name that everybody's been talking about in KA Senior has been Jesus Vasquez Jr., right? He talked about last year being here, missing it out a little bit on the end to Peyton Phillips, who was able to win. But Vasquez made it interesting for us, right? Stacked the field up, got the racing going, and again, he said that's kind of the name of the game when you come to a place like this where it's so easy to pass. And again, he's one of the drivers said that him and his dad, Jesus Vasquez Sr., put a lot of work at home to build a good engine package here for them and for all their customers as well with P1 engines. Here we go across the line. John Burke goes to the top, the 945. Taken away by Jesus Vasquez, now a 49.691 to Roussel, to Burke, to Taylor Roddy, Michael Haymans up to the top 5. So a little bit of shuffling here. Santi Duran, unfortunately, is up there on his own. Not going to have a draft, but Jesus Vasquez, currently the quickest on the racetrack here, Nate.
Yeah, Vasquez has had a strong couple of weekends on the regional and national scenes. You think to have the successes GFC teammates had at Road America for the United States Pro Kart Series. He'll be hoping to give GFC another big win here in Cresson, Texas. Couple laps to go for these KA 100 seniors. Vasquez still fastest on track as things stand. Sawyer Roussel, John Burke, your top three. No real changes there, Caleb, for this first group of our KA 100 seniors presented by Kart CRG USA. We'll see if any of these guys can improve, or if we might see a couple drivers diving into the pit lane knowing they can't improve on time.
Here we go. You want to be careful as well how early you want to dive in, because there is a whole second group that is getting set to go out. And again, you have the likes of Jose Carlos Fernandez in that one, Aiden Rudolph, Justin Music, Cooper Shipman as well joining us here this weekend. We got to talk to him a little bit yesterday. And again, more. Landon Skinner is still in that second group as well, Adrian Cruz, and more. But here we go. Checkered flag in the air this time by. Vasquez still holds on to the top spot. Nobody really improving the last time around here, Nate. Time's starting to come in now. No improvement. Jesus Vasquez holds on to the provisional pole of 49.691 over Roussel, to Burke, to Roddy, to Haymans, to Ibrahim Din at the racetrack, where he really had his breakout weekend in the KE senior class. Finds himself currently 6th. To Santi Duran, Jake French only 8th. Back to Preston Pico, Ethan Gonzalez, your top 10 so far. Peyton Phillips only 11th here in this one out of 18. Yeah, you just don't see that too often out of Peyton Phillips. Not sure if it was just bad place, bad time for him in that session, or just didn't have the outright pace here in qualifying.
Unfortunate for the Arcane Machine. Yeah. I had the chance to talk to him a little bit yesterday. He just said how frustrating of a season it was. It's been about a year since he got his last win.
It was
from here, exactly. And just wants to get that win and finally get on the top step yet again. But unfortunate for him to be so far down, but he's a winner on the national level, winner at the regional level. He'll be a driver to look out for, making his way through the field. One quick thing to note is, like we saw, a lot of these drivers, the final couple of laps, not improving. Sure, a lot of the drivers on the grid there will have seen that, and we might see more drivers decide to cut their qualifying session early, save the tires for a couple of laps, as it seems like about lap 2, lap 3 on your flyer is the sweet spot for these KA 100 seniors. Group 2 on track now. They'll be trying to dethrone Jesus Vasquez Jr. Currently finds himself on pole, but that is a huge ask, isn't it, Caleb?
Yeah, 49.6. That's the time, right, that everybody's going to be chasing here in this qualifying session. We follow along. First one out, Landon Skinner. Aiden Rudolph just right behind him. It looks like one of the rookies. I think Tyler Roberts. Maybe the rookie that's just right behind him. Joey Friend in there as well. And yeah, Rudolph's going to get passed actually there by Roberts, I believe.
And Rudolph backing down to be with his Kart CRG USA teammates in that second battle pack. You have the two GFCs leading the way, and then CRG 3rd, 4th, and 5th on track, and then a whole gaggle of other kart manufacturers further back. Justin Music, one of those further back as well on board the Arcane Machine. But we'll see if Landon Skinner can do anything from P1 on track right now. He's had an impressive season thus far, but be wanting to get further up on the timesheets than what he's been this season here, Caleb. Be interesting to see if anyone can top the time of Jesus Vasquez Jr. Personally, I think Aiden Rudolph is going to be one of those drivers to be able to challenge, but Landon Skinner, don't count him out either.
Yeah, I mean, rookie Tyler Roberts puts himself in a really good position here as well, so I have my eye kind of set on him here as we get to the front straightaway. First couple laps now underway. Lap 3 is usually that point where you see these tires kind of get up to temperature, the drivers get comfortable as well, everything kind of getting up to temp, right? So that's a lap that actually Vasquez went quickest, was lap number 3. So again, we'll wait for that one here as well. 49.6, again, time to look out for, time to keep an eye on, time to beat here. Skinner now with no draft, as Friend gonna make the pass on rookie Tyler Roberts. Aiden Rudolph just right behind him. And we'll see this time by. Should be the first real test where we see drivers start to get themselves into the mix here. A couple of drivers already moving up. Adrian Cruz is up to 9th. And that's the first out of this group. That's highest up. Rudolph to 12th. So here we go. First couple laps. Here goes Jose Carlos on the main straight. Making a move there on Cohen Summers. And not much change just yet here, Nate. We'll wait for it to update as well. Rudolph went up to 9th. Joey Friend to 6th. Jose Carlos Hernandez there he is up to 4th. So wait for that to update on your screen as well. But Jose Carlos Hernandez on the Red Speed machine for Red Speed Racing Texas puts himself into the top 4 here early on.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is going to be lap 3 for these guys. This is essentially the money lap for these K100 seniors in Group 2. Jesus Vasquez Jr. still standing tall at the top of the pylon as things stand. Watching time and scoring to see if anyone populates at the top of that timesheet. At the moment, it's a no. Vasquez still at the top. Aiden Rudolph, though, is right there on Vasquez. P2 for the CRG machine that's leading points in the CRG KA100 senior. Sawyer Roussel still in that 3rd spot. John Burke 4th. Jose Carlos Hernandez in 5th. Joey Friend still holding strong in P7. That's an impressive run for Joey Friend, who maybe hasn't had the luck this season that he would have wanted. He's a driver who has pace here and there, but it's going to be a big run for Friend. As see Aiden Rudolph coming out of the final corner. Can he improve upon his time? No checkered flag yet for this second group of K100 seniors. This is into laps 4 and 5, where we didn't see a whole lot of improvement, and we're not going to see that from Aiden Rudolph. Hernandez, though, up to P2 there, Caleb, but still over a 10th slower than Vasquez Jr.
Yeah, Vasquez, I think, you know, differently to what we're seeing with Rudolph and Jose Carlos. They had a huge draft. I mean, Vasquez did it, and now, you know, they don't have it. Now Jose Carlos, Aiden going to work together. Skinner drops the tire into the grass. He's going to lose that spot. So now it's going to be Hernandez and going to be Rudolph, who actually just towed him around for the last little sector of that lap. We'll see if Hernandez repays the favor for Rudolph here. The two of them work closely together over in Houston. We'll see how they work together here on the racetrack, this time by checkered flag in the air. And I think Rudolph's going to run out of time. Hernandez, I think, going to be the best one to do it. Does he have the pace in it to go faster than Vasquez? And I'm not sure he did here, Nate.
I don't think so. I think that was a strong run from Jesus Vasquez Jr. in the opening group. That should be pole position for him. GFC on pole here in KA100 senior. The driver who everyone has been watching in this class. Surprise, surprise, pole for the 977.
Yeah, Hernandez, they're up to 2nd. Skinner in 3rd. Just a mistake on that last lap. I guess looking at that theoretical, he's probably going to be kind of looking at that one at the end of it. But that being said, that's it for qualifying. That's it for our free coverage as well. We thank you guys for joining us here in the morning. We'll see you guys on the other side. KC Premium members, only $9.99 a month. Subscribe and watch all the racing action live. For myself and Nadine, we'll see you guys here in a couple of moments of racing action. But if you aren't joining us, we'll see you tomorrow morning, live bright and early, 8 a.m. for more warm-up action.